Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'll be talking about TechCabal's Moonshot event and my overall experience. Going into this event, I had some expectations and I made a video about it. This would be my version of expectation versus reality. So how did the event go? The event took place on the 9th and 10th of October, which was an interesting choice to put the event in the middle of the week. I already mentioned I'm not based in Lagos where the event was happening, so I came in from Port Harcourt on Monday. I stayed in a hotel on the mainland and the event was happening on the island. People that are based in Lagos will understand. So the first day of the event, I didn't really enjoy staying on the mainland, so I decided to move my things to the island, but trying to find a hotel that morning took a while. But by the time I did, I was late. Once I got there, the first thing though was trying to locate the stages, because they had 3 stages where at each point in time 3 different panels or presentations were going on. So you had to look through the schedule of events, which talks interest you, and then go to those stages. And they had a map on the main hall going into the venue, but the map didn't really make it clear where the map was in relation to where the halls were, so it was hard to figure that out. But I just asked around and found the main stage. So I missed a talk from the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy of Nigeria. By the time I got in, they were on a talk on the battle of representation of AI in Africa. AI requires a lot of data. So how do we generate our own data in Africa to train our own AI models that would better serve our own people? It was actually a panel session, and one of them even gave an interesting use case of AI in, I think, somewhere in Lagos. So what happens is, in Africa, a lot of our documentation is done orally, and it's hard to capture this, especially before now. So you had to rely on human memory, which can be very tricky. We don't have too many documents compared to somewhere like the West. So a company or a startup, I'm not too sure at this point, built an expense tracker that could document your daily expenses for a business. But then they wanted this to be useful to someone like a roadside seller. So the person could speak to the application, and then they use technologies like natural language processing and AI to collect this data and transform it into a table format where you can see the income, you can see the expenses. The cool thing was the person could just speak in a language they are comfortable in, and all of that magic happened. So that was a very great use case that I heard about, and it got me excited for a lot of the talks down the line. At some point, we had a lunch break. You could talk and network. It was cool to be there. You could hear what people were doing on a small scale in their own spaces. Then after 30 to 45 minutes, we're back to more panel sessions. My favorite talk from day one was on building world-class teams. 2 of the panelists in this session, Sei Suleiman and Babajide Duroshola, are people I've followed since Andela days, so it was really good to hear from them. My key takeaway from that talk was something Babajide said, and it had to do with the Japa wave. A lot of Africans, young Africans especially, are migrating to the West in search of better opportunities. And he said he's not really worried about that. What we should try to do though is to train 5 people to be as good as you, and then you can leave, and then there are 5 people that can fill the gap. If those 5 are also considering leaving, each of them should train 5 people as good as them. That way, we would have a supply of people that would always be there, and there wouldn't be a gap. For day 2, I was more rested, had more energy. At this point, I was familiar with the halls, even though I spent most of my time on the main stage. And I also noticed that on the floor, they had added some directions to the different halls, which I didn't notice the previous day. And then I went to the hall for the first talk by Jumia Nigeria CEO, and he basically talked about scaling e-commerce in Nigeria and in Africa. There was also a lot of fintech talk. Of course, it's not a complete tech event if there is no fintech. So there was a panel session on scaling payments in Africa. One of the challenges with Africa is still making payments. We have a lot of fintech, but it's almost like everyone exists in his own bubble. There is a need to have interoperability and interconnectedness between governments and private sector and the necessary stakeholders to be able to make this easier for the consumer. After the lunch break, I went to the workshop stage for the panel session by Mr. and Kisaya Fosudu, where they talked about creating and monetizing tech content. After the session with Kisaya and Mr. I moved to the Creative Economy Hall, where they used silent disco headphones, which was connected to the stage, and you could hear the speakers directly in your ears. It was different. I don't think I've been to an event previously that did that, so I found that very interesting. So the panel session was with Lais Wasabi and Adetutu Laditan. She's a YouTube rep. On her own part, she talked about how to make YouTube work for you. So whether it's algorithms, views, watch hours, how to create your content in a way that sells. She covered a lot of that. And for Lai Wasabi, he told his story of how he got into content creation. This session was mainly about creating content that scales. So a lot of the emphasis was about going beyond your local borders. And Lai was asked from the audience to do a live performance. Yeah, it was really a fun way to end the event. So what are my final thoughts about this event? TechCabal did a great job putting this event together alongside their sponsors. Production was great. They tried to keep things to time. The only issue that I had but wasn't too big a deal was finding my way around on the first day, and the map wasn't too helpful. Overall, it's an A+. So, still watching, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Till then, may code be with you. Peace.